Today, I'm going to unbox and take a look at Hell Over Korea, an expansion module for B-29 Superfortress, which is this game right here, and I'll put a link to my re-unboxing of this and overview in the description below, but suffice to say, B-29 follows in the line or lineage or whatever you want to call it of B-17 Queen of the Skies, which was one of the earliest one, if not one of the first, to deal with solitaire in a chart and roll type format, or what I call a charty war game, where there's a lot of charts, there's a lot of rolling of dice, there's a lot of referring to charts, and that is what drives the game forward. And as far as some of the tension and feel of the experience really comes from the theater of the mind. It comes from your own narrative as you're, kind of following the story of this crew, of this plane, and it's going on different missions, and it's encountering different conflict or challenges or enemies or mishaps that might happen along the way. And that's where it gets kind of a role-playing game type feel as you're kind of developing a narrative for this crew and this plane. And that's what B-17 brought to the table way back when. And that's what B-79 kind of picks up there, but it picks it up with a B-29 and in the Pacific Theater. And what Hell Over Korea does, it takes it to Korea. Imagine that. It's in the name. And one of the reasons why I wanted to pick this one up is for several reasons. One, I like the whole B-17, B-29, charty war game type mechanism. It's not for everybody. Some people just don't like the charts and the die roll. And don't think that don't believe there's enough decision there or enough decision space there to make it meaningful. Now, I believe B-29 and Steve Dixon's other games, kind of like Skyhawk, which I've covered that, they go a little bit extra lengths to add some decisions and add some more stuff to it, so it's not just roll, look at the chart, roll, look at the chart, roll, look at the chart. There's still quite a bit of that, but there is some decision there. So that's one reason I wanted to. I like these kind of games, and they're solitaire, right? So I have a tendency to play a lot of game solitaire, even two-player game solitaire. So so I like that. And then the topic here, we're in Korea. There's not a lot of games on Korea. Surprising, right? My dad was in the Korean War. He's in the Air Force. He was a radio operator, not on a B-29, but and he really got in on the very end of the war, and spent most of his time stationed in the Philippines. But there's just not a lot covering the Korean War, and so Vietnam has a little bit more, but Korean War is kind of the left out on a lot of games and a lot of coverage. So that's that's another reason I wanted to pick this up, because Korea needs Korean War, and what went on during that war, needs a little bit more attention, in my opinion. So let's take a look at the back of the box here. This looks a little sun faded. This might have been on a retail shelf somewhere. I got it through a Noble Knight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this at Noble Knight. This looks a little faded, so I don't know if this was. I don't know why that's faded. Maybe that's the way it came, or maybe it's just the age of it. You're going to see a sample of the counters. So now we're into the Korean War, so we're going to get to some MiGs and the like. I think you still is this an expansion, so I think you're still going to use the same base board that you have in the original game, or maybe there's a new one in here. This says Hell Over Korea, so maybe there's a new one in here. And it says Hell Over Korea is an expansion module for the solitaire game B-29 Superfortress. It is not a standalone game, and ownership of B-29 is required to play. So I wonder if you have the if you have to use the same chart book. I don't know. Let's get in here and find out. Because the chart book is basically the key to this game. That's where everything is at in this game. So let's open it up here. It's kind of a thin box, but you know, I might put everything back into the B-29 box, the original box. I try to save some shelf space where I can. You get a bag of baggies here and a couple dice. Here's a new chart book. Okay, so we do have some new charts and tables here. And as I said before, this is going to be the key to the game here, because this is where, let's turn it this way so I have a table for the book here. A table for my table. So this is the index of all the tables here. As you see, you're going to have pre-mission steps, starting the mission, the zones, combat, over the target, bomber damage, ending the mission, and victory conditions. So here's your pre-step mission tables. So there's going to be a lot of charts here, and you're going to have to follow a procedure to figure out which chart to go to when. But there's a chart for just about everything here. Here's some of your targets you're going to have. And tells you what zone, and that will make a difference. There's only 10 zones in this one. You're going to have charts on taking off, and on landing, and accidents, and weather. All kinds of different charts here to play the game. You get a lot of notes here. This is all notes to the random events table, which I think has some of the most notes to it. Here's your combat tables. Well, here's fighter escort rendezvous, if you're going to have an escort. Area of attack, communist fighter appearance. So here's the different fighters that might show up. You've got China and Soviet, North Korean. Very interesting. So there's a lot of charts in here, right? And that means, so if you have an aversion to Excel or PowerPoint, then this might be something you want to stay away from. There's going to be a lot of charts in here, and a lot of referring to charts and rolling on these charts. As you can see, there's a dice roll table on almost everything here. But there's a game in here, and there's a story in here, and that story is for you to find out. That's what charty war games are about. It provides you with a canvas with which to, or a page, canvas to paint your picture, or a page to write your story. But the story's in here, and it's for you to find and develop as you play the game. How about that? All right, let's look here at. This is the rules. Not a lot of rules, because I think you're going to use the rules from the core set, right? So game equipment is the fighter placement map, the one counter sheet, rulebook, chart, mission log, crew placement, and campaign log. Okay. So this is kind of an abbreviated version of the rules, because it said like no changes to this rule. So you'll go back to the rule book that is in the B-29, because you need to have B-29 to play this game. Then we have this here. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you, Legion Games, Legion Wargames. Here's your counter sheet, which is shrink wrap, because these look like they're ready to be punched out. I just fill it, and they're going to punch out easy. So nice big counters for the enemy aircraft there, and you have some escorts here as well. And then they have some different pilot designations, whether they're green or ace there. Interesting. Sorry for the glare. So you do get a new, we do get some new boards here. Well, that's cool. All right. And Legion usually puts like a piece of paper down at the bottom that just to, I guess, keep things in order. I don't know. There's an extra sheet they have in there. The other game, it was blue. So here is basically the game board. So this is where you're going to keep track of bandits coming in or enemies coming in, whether it's low, level, or high, whether it's 12, 1:30, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Here's your pressurization, weather track, and altitude. Here's U.S. air support. Here's your movement track. Up to 10 zones there, because I think all the missions here are only 10 zones. Here's your navigation track. So this is your primary game board right here. Then you're going to have your crew placement chart here. So this is where you keep track of your crew. Your bombardier, pilot, co-pilot, navigator, engineer, radio operator, left and right gunner, central fire control, radio operator, tail gunner, and then you got some extinguishers. So this is where you're going to keep track of your different crew members. And this is where your story kind of begins, is setting out this crew and then following their story as you roll and check charts throughout the game. Then we've got, here's a historical scenario, Black Tuesday over Noms. With some special rules here, and then it tells what the zones are at there. That's kind of different. That's cool. Then we have your mission log, and so you're going to want to make a copy of this so you can keep track of multiple missions. You name your bomber, keep track of the number of missions, target type, and you can just fill all this out, and this lets you keep track of your missions. But if you're going to do several missions, you probably want to make several copies of this. Then you have your mission log, where you keep track of individual missions. If you get up to 35, in the old B-17 Queen of the Skies, you're trying to play the Memphis Belle, try to get 25 successful missions so you can go home. Here it has 35. I don't know if you have to do 35 to go home or not in this. But you're going to keep track of your target, type, time of day, all the different stuff on the mission and how you did and all that stuff. You can keep track of this on this mission campaign sheet. So you probably want to make a copy of that as well. So there you have it. That is what you get in a box of B-29 Hell Over Korea. We can now, have a air war game over Korea. This has been out for a while, so it's not finally. It's been out. But that's what you get in a box there. Oh, don't forget the baggies. So anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, or either B-29 or this game or B-17 or anything that's on your mind. Anything about charty war games. Do you love them, hate them? Too much charts and die rolling, not enough decision, or just the right amount to guide you along a story path to create a narrative for your crew. It's up to you, right? And it's up to your taste. There's no wrong answer. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching me unbox Hell Over Korea. I need to get this to the table now and check it out and see if I can survive. Will I go 35 missions? Who knows? Anyway, take care. Thanks for watching.